All right.
Hey everyone, welcome to Monday Night Team Call. I'm Emily Gernaat and Emerald Ambassador, and I'm joined with Jamie Haskin, and she is a Diamond Ambassador. And we're talking about burnout tonight, something that I've experienced myself, and Jamie has walked me through and helped me with a bunch. And so I'm glad that she's on the call with me and gonna help me with the call tonight. So
sorry, Em, hold on. Unmute yourself. I had to click mute all. I forgot to do that.
Okay. So we're talking about burnout, the illusion of balance, and how to find passion and fulfillment in your business, no matter what season you're in. And I want to let you guys know that if you're new here or new to being an entrepreneur in general, you're going to experience a wide array of emotions and highs and lows in the business, just like anybody else who's an entrepreneur, any other business. And all of those things are normal. And if you're not new here and you're in the highs or you're in the lows or somewhere in between, all of that is normal too. And it's just a matter of staying on the roller coaster. The only way to get hurt on a roller coaster is to jump off. So if you stay committed and you work through the things, you come out better on the other side. So if you're experiencing burnout right now or not, just know that all these things are normal. Emotions about all the things are normal. Highs and lows in business are normal. And if you commit to walking through it and getting to the other side, it's so worth it. And I just want to share the definition of burnout. I looked it up just out of curiosity to see if there even was a definition, and it said it's exhaustion of physical or emotional strength, motivation, and usually a result of prolonged stress or frustration. And frustration comes from believing you can't affect change on a situation or helplessness. So some of the most frustrating things are the things that you can't change or you feel like you can't change. But the thing is with this and with burnout in general is you can change it and you can affect change on your business at any point in time. You can decide tonight, right here and right now, that you want to change things. And that applies to all different areas of your life. But especially with Plexus, I love that we are empowered to make changes in our business at any given time. So if you're frustrated, if you're burned out, or if you are on cloud 9, you get to decide how you go forward and change things. And you are where you are because of a pattern of thoughts and behaviors that you have subscribed to. If you're in the middle of massive burnout now, then it's time to evaluate where that's coming from and why. What you're allowing to douse your fire and passion with water, or what is, sucking the joy and fulfillment out of what you're doing right now. What do you believe you're helpless to change right now? You have to break the pattern of thought and break the pattern of behavior you're subscribing to and do something new. And that's exactly the decision I had to come to when I was in the middle of burnout. I remember shortly after I hit Emerald, I was on the phone with Jamie and I was in tears and just having a total meltdown and feeling helpless to, change the situation. I felt like a dirty dish rag that had just been wrung out for every last drop. There was nothing left of me. And it was just that wall of burnout and I didn't know what to do. And so I had heard over and over things like, you can't pour from an empty cup. And so I started thinking about things that would fill my cup, so to speak. And so I took longer baths. I spent more time with family and friends. I watched a little more Netflix. I, did more quiet time and things. And none of those are bad things, but none of that ever made me feel more passionate about Plexus and more fulfilled in Plexus. And so I was at a crossroads. I felt like I had to make the decision. Am I the person who's going to quit and give up when things are tough and maybe not as enjoyable as I want them to be? Am I going to be the person who just retreats and gives up on my team and isn't there for them when they need it because I wasn't feeling it? Am I going to be that person? Does that line up with my character and my beliefs and values? And no, I decided that no, it wasn't going to be that way. I wasn't going to be that person. I was going to be the person who showed up regardless and who was going to figure it out. And so it comes down to a decision. It comes down to a decision to figure it out. And shortly after that, by no mistake, I was listening to a podcast and they were interviewing one of the wealthiest people in the world. And they asked him, how do you deal with balancing all of the things with having such a successful business, family life, wanting to work out, all of the things? How do you balance your time? And he kind of paused and then he said, there's no such thing as balance. And he said, it's like one thing lights up another thing that lights up another thing. He said, like when you have a really good day at work and you're excited and enthusiastic and things are going well, that follows you home and you have a great night and you have good conversation with your spouse and you're excited there too. It's like one fire starts another fire that starts another fire that makes everything burn brighter. It's not about dividing your time. It's about creating energy and momentum in your business. So if you can find ways to create energy and momentum in what you're doing with Plexus and find fulfillment in what you're doing with Plexus, then that's going to carry through for all the different areas of your life. And you won't feel like you're robbing time from your family. You're robbing time from this aspect of your life. You are creating a whole fire burning bright that has energy that spills into all the rest of the areas of your life. And so, Jamie, do you have anything to add on that before I
I
go
love
on?
that because it's so impactful and so relatable. And like you said, it comes down to a choice, right? Those moments don't define us. Those moments of the struggle or moments of whatever, we're all there. Nobody's perfect here, right? This does not define us. So are you going to stay there or are you going to make a decision to do something different or a decision to figure it out, even if you don't know what that is yet, right? That's what we do. We kind of stumble through things and we learn as we go and we figure it out and we learn, we do the trainings or we do the personal growth or learn from people who've gone before, but you make a decision, right? And this does not define us. So move forward from that. Don't stay where you're at. And I love what he says with the energy. Like one thing can do another. And it's a choice. It's a mindset, right? So empowering.
Absolutely. It does boil down to a choice. And when you make the decision to stay committed through anything, then you're going to experience the benefit of being refined through the process. God uses those moments for refinement. And that's part of the fulfilling part of this journey. It's not always about the whole big vision, I guess you could say. It's not always about diamond or a certain rank or a certain paycheck or your lifestyle or whatever. Because I know for me, dangling that carrot out in front of me wasn't enough when I didn't feel fulfilled and excited and enthusiastic in my day-to-day work. And I can cast vision until I'm blue in the face, but if people are miserable the entire process getting to that vision, then it might not be worth it for them either. Sometimes money isn't the motivator or a certain rank or status or whatever isn't the motivator. Sometimes you have to help people find fulfillment and be empowered in their strengths in the day-to-day work, because that is important too. Your day-to-day fulfillment and being refined in this process and, walking with the Lord through all of this, that is just as big of a part of the journey and so important that we can't miss that with the whole, the bigger vision.
Yeah, exactly. And we need the why. We need to cast that vision. We need the bigger picture. That's hands down important, right? So we're going to be doing those things, but what is the day to day? We need to have joy in what we do today and in the work we do today, not just when we hit a goal, not just when we hit a new rank, right? It's in what we're doing on the daily. So exactly.
And part of this, I wanted to share too, like my personal experience. When you have enthusiasm and excitement with your business, you can get more done in a shorter period of time than you can ever get done with just low enthusiasm, like dragging through the work. And I know personally, because there was times when I had all the time in the world. I could spend 12 hours working my Plexus business, but I had such a bad attitude and was like in this place of just resenting everything that it didn't matter what I did for that 12 hours. By the end of it, I still felt like I didn't accomplish anything, and it still did not create momentum and energy. So that was what was so frustrating to me, is I felt like I could work and work and work, but it wasn't getting me where I needed to go. So what it boiled down to is finding the things that I thought were exciting and were my strengths and were something that would create energy and momentum for me. So, Jamie, can you screen share that graphic?
Yes. Keep talking.
Okay.
Quick second. I didn't have it
Okay.
ready. Give me 1 second.
That's fine. Okay. So what I did is I created this graphic with the 4 quadrants of your business. Each quadrant is so important. Each quadrant has value, and each quadrant has to be done. Like it has to be part of your business and your daily activities and things like that. But some of these things you're going to feel stronger in, and some of these things you're going to feel weaker in. And the things that you feel strong in and that you love doing and that you're excited about doing and you're fulfilled doing, those are the things that I want you to think about and start with. Because when you start with those things, it creates momentum in your day. It actually kind of lights the fire that trickles down into the rest of your business. It creates excitement that you can run with all day long. So for me, it's the upper left-hand quadrant. It's coaching calls, it's vision casting, it's talking with my team, encouraging them. It's strategizing, problem solving, doing some of those things. Those are the things that I feel strong in, but that might be somebody else's weaker area. So kind of identify some of those things and talk to your sponsor, talk to your family and friends, talk to people that know and love you, and ask them, like, what are my strengths? What are some things that you see that I do really well? And I think for me, if I start with those things, I get excited and I build momentum that can carry me through the whole rest of the day. And we can share this in the comments too, so you can look at it further. But, time is a limited resource. And so you have to make the most of your time and show up with enthusiasm. And it makes it easier to show up with enthusiasm and excitement when you can run with your strengths and then let that empower the whole rest of your day and carry you through the weaker areas.
Yep, exactly. And that's what you're talking about when you're talking about fueling that fire and having that pour out from one thing to the other, because you're starting with your strengths, right? So I love the analogy and being able to see that and identify that and, figuring out what your strengths are. If you don't know, like you said, ask somebody and be able to identify those. And then the power in developing that and identifying that is there's also power in identifying the weaknesses and working on those as well, which I think you're getting to yet here as well, Emily.
Yeah, absolutely. All of those things are important. It doesn't matter if you're strong in one area and weak in one area. You still have to have all of the things done, but it just makes a difference in how you show up in your business when you get to be excited about the things that you're strong in and let that carry you through. Operating in your strengths only will create a shallow business, but deliberately developing your weaknesses will create a firm foundation and success and longevity. Knowing what.
Okay, pause there a second. I wanted to really highlight what you said there, because I think that is so powerful. And I want you guys to grasp that. If we only operate in our strengths, that creates a shallow business, right? We are limiting ourselves. Okay. So if we develop character and hone in on our weaknesses, we are going to build our leadership. We're working on ourselves, right? So that is important right there. So we don't want that to hold us back. If we're only working on our strengths and we have that mindset, oh, well, this is me, so this is where I'm going to stay. Okay. That's holding us back. So God uses us in big ways. We know that we grow when we get out of our comfort zones. There's the saying, if you're in your comfort zone, we're not growing, right? So we need to get out of our comfort zones. We need to challenge ourselves, and you can improve on your strengths, but we're going to be more well-rounded. And like I said, a better leader if we can develop the areas we're not as strong in. If I were to have stayed in my strengths, what I thought were my strengths when I first started 5 years ago, I would not be where I was right now. I would not be leading this call. I would not be a diamond, because I wouldn't have sent the messages out. I wouldn't have posted. I closed my eyes and pushed send on those first messages out to people because I was terrified. I did not want to post. I was terrified. I was worried about what other people thought. I was worried about so many things, but I did it anyway. And I did the things out of my comfort zone, right? Team calls would have 100% been my weakness 5 years ago. I was terrified in speech class. I was shaking. I did not feel confident. I didn't think I was a leader. Terrified. But if I would have never done team calls, I wouldn't be doing them now. My first team call I did, it's funny to watch because I did not smile, I don't think, the whole time. I talked really quiet and I had a monotone voice and I was just nervous, but you work on your areas of weaknesses and it improves, right? And sometimes those weaknesses can become your strengths, right? And I feel like that's definitely happened with me. So don't get in the mind, like a trap in your mindset thinking, okay, great, I found my quadrant. This is me. This is where I'm going to stay. We need to work on our weaknesses as well. This should be empowering in both areas.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's similar to color personalities or the Enneagram or whatever. You can't use those weaknesses as an excuse to not do them or to not improve upon them. The purpose is to find your strengths and run with them, and then find your weaknesses and develop them. It's the same way with color personalities, with the Enneagram, anything like that. The whole purpose is for growth and development. And don't get your identity confused with your attributes, traits, or tendencies. Your identity is that you're a child of God and that you were called with a purpose, and God has big plans for your life. So that's your identity. Your identity isn't your strengths or your traits or attributes. Those are gifts that you've been given for the purpose you've been called to. And I wanted to touch on, I think I lost my spot. Since we can't just operate in our strengths, how do we, what are some practical ways of bringing energy to our weaknesses? And I think it starts.
Do you want to talk base? I think you're going to talk about how to identify burnout in the team as well. I don't know if you want to hit that.
Yeah,
that's what I had down first. So I didn't want you to miss that because I think that was really good.
Yeah, I think it's important to identify burnout with your team members as well, and to kind of keep an eye out for it, because it can look like hopelessness and despair. People get to this point sometimes when it just feels like they don't know what to do next. They just feel wrung out and completely emptied out doing what they're doing. Or sometimes they'll pull back and they don't really understand why or what's going on in their head right then and there, but they feel totally burned out. And it's important to be able to see that and then empower them to start finding joy in the day-to-day work that we do. You want to be talking to people all the time about the bigger vision and about, where they're going, where they're headed, and developing that for them. But you also have to start identifying their strengths and find what gives them joy in doing every day. What is it that they're strong in that you can point out to them and encourage them in, that's going to help bring excitement and joy back to them, in the day-to-day process of getting to where they're going. So you have anything to add to that, Jamie?
That's good. You got it. I just use that as an empowering way to make sure you duplicate that down, right? And that we take the time to do that, because that is so empowering and we get to help bring that light to people too, to help identify those strengths. Cause that can be hard sometimes to realize what you're strong in. I mean, for some people it might be easier, but yeah.
Yeah. So as far as like bringing joy back to your business and helping get through some of the weaker areas, to me, it starts with identifying the strengths, and you have to start thinking about like, what am I doing every day that like kind of sparks that energy and joy and stuff into what I'm doing, and you work on those things first. I think it's important too, number two, to spend time in prayer and in the word. There's no substitute for spending time with the ultimate giver of strength. In Isaiah 40, verse 28, it says, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is everlasting, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired and weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, and they will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." I think I would be remiss if I was telling you how to get through burnout without telling you how to plug into the ultimate source of strength and encouragement, and energy and all of those things. St. Francis says, "Every one of us needs a half an hour of prayer each day, except when we're busy. Then we need an hour." He knew it wasn't about the time needed for the busyness of life. It's about the energy and the clarity. I could spend 2 hours in prayer every day and have more accomplished at the end of my day than I would with 15 minutes of prayer and spending all my time on the busyness of life. Because God can give you supernatural clarity. He can give you the vision and the things that you need to get through your day in a more efficient way than you could ever think of on your own. So I think it's important to talk about that and realize that, spending time in prayer and in meditation and doing the things that you need to do, it's not taking away from your business. And I would highly encourage you to invest into that time, because if it wasn't for that time, I wouldn't have anything to say tonight. I wouldn't have come to this conclusion about, operating in my strengths and finding those things. Like, that's part of walking with the Lord and letting him speak into my business. So the third thing I wanted to mention too is do something physical to get your heart rate up before you dive into some of the things that you're weaker in. So if there's a long list of things that you have to get done with Plexus that you feel like are kind of either draining or you're weaker in, go do some jumping jacks, go do some push-ups, get your workout in, do something to get some blood flowing, because that makes a difference in how you show up for those things. So if you change your physical state and you do some things to like get some things going, it's going to change your mental state, and it's going to help you show up differently in conversations with people, how you're talking to people, what you post. All of those things are affected by the energy that you bring to the table. So if you're bringing energy from your workout and like being excited and doing jumping jacks, if you bring that kind of energy to your conversations on your coaching calls, it makes a difference. It makes a difference in how you come across, your verbiage, everything. And your team can feel it, your prospects can feel it. And it's just a simple little thing that you can do to change the energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like recapping, I want to add one more thing with that. Emily said starting the day with something you're strong in, right? Because that's going to empower you and help light that fire to like bounce from one thing to the other, right? And then getting yourself ready for those things for weakness. So another thing in terms of that I wanted to add on is we talk about positive affirmations all the time, right? You guys know what those are. So are you actually doing those? And if you're getting ready to get into something and you know that's an area of weakness and you're telling yourself that's an area of weakness, that's not good. That's not a good mindset to go into it with, right? So go into the mindset, tell yourself some positive affirmations that say the opposite and say them out loud right before you go in to do that. So whatever those tasks are, prep yourself, get out of the mindset that this is something you don't like to do or it's your weakness, right? And say the opposite, because with that mindset shift, it's going to rewire your brain. It's going to matter. Say that you love doing this, say that you're excited about doing it, and, go and develop those skills and grow in those skills. And that is going to empower you to keep moving forward with that. Along with that, I can't remember if you said this part or not, because I've looked at what we're going to talk about so many times, but developing discipline in your weaknesses. I think she said that before, but if she didn't, I'm going to say it again now. But that is so important. I want to highlight that, because when it comes to our weaknesses, it's easy to gravitate towards our strengths, right? So when we have to do something that we feel weaker in, it sometimes is going to just straight up take discipline. Okay. It's not necessarily gonna be something you want to do. It is going to take discipline. So you can do that. That's got to be something you own. And it might require the most discipline of all in something in your day. So add it to your checklist, use a timer, do whatever you need to do. But by highlighting this, by bringing awareness to this, it might actually help, because you realize, okay, yeah, that's why I'm dragging in this area. It's probably a little bit of a weakness, and I've been putting it off. Maybe this is why. So kind of bring some clarity, and then own it and grow in it and be disciplined in it. And again, what we said earlier, don't get caught up in identifying your weakness and giving it that permanent label and stigma, right? Because we can change that, and we can grow in that and use that to empower you to grow the gifts and talents that God has given you, like Emily was saying earlier.
Yeah, exactly. If you just avoid your weaknesses, then you're avoiding that opportunity for refinement. And that's part of the whole fulfilling process of this, is you're being refined, you're growing, you're stretching yourself. And all we're doing here is leveraging your strengths to create momentum to help you get through the rest of your day and to find fulfillment and excitement in what you're doing. So leverage your strengths and develop your weaknesses, and you're going to be in good shape. And I wanted to just kind of close with, how do you apply this to your business right now? I think the first thing is just spending some time thinking about what does bring you joy in the day-to-day work. So think about those things. Like, what is it? Is it the phone calls that you make? Is it the coaching calls? Is it the posts that you get to write up? Is it reading testimonies? Is it helping somebody on the products that's having trouble? Is it, helping somebody get results, reaching out to your current ambassadors? What is it that you kind of get like those warm, fuzzy feelings, or that just make you feel good doing? And just lean into that a little bit, spend some time doing that and bring some enjoyment back to what you're doing, especially if you're in a state of burnout. And then the next thing is start calling out the strengths in the people around you. Your sidelines, your downline, your sponsor, your friends, your family, your spouse. If you start calling out the strengths in other people, you're going to be surprised at how they show up differently. They are going to feel empowered around you. They're going to be seen and feel valued by you. And it causes people to rise to new levels when they feel seen and valued for who they are and what they bring to the table. So if you are excited about their strengths and you see them and you call them out and you tell them about it, it's going to empower them to take action and to, change things and do things that they maybe wouldn't have done. It just brings a whole new level of energy and excitement to your team, your family, everything. And then finally, just stop worrying about the perfect balance. This business life in general goes through all different seasons. You're going to have seasons when things are busy and crazy and wild and exciting. And then you're going to have times where it's slower and you're not really sure what's going on, or, your family needs more attention or your business needs more attention. Those seasons are all normal. And it's frustrating to try to create balance when balance is the illusion. So don't try to divide your time and balance things perfectly. Start finding where you can operate in your strengths in different areas of your life to bring excitement to all the areas of your life. And again, I just wanted to go back to that fire analogy. One fire lights another fire, that lights another fire, that creates a whole fire that creates more brightness and illuminates other things in your life. It brings more awareness to things in your life. Picture it like everything's being lit up. You have more awareness. You can see things as they are. You can have a bigger vision because everything's lit up. So it makes a difference when you picture it this way and when you treat things this way, because you're not going to be frustrated about trying to keep things equal, with your time and energy and things. Things aren't going to always be equal. It's going to be unbalanced from time to time. But if you can focus on it in this way and embrace those seasons, you're going to feel more fulfilled through the whole process.
Love it. Thank you, Em. Thank you guys for hopping on tonight. Take these tools, take these tips, utilize them, put them into action, and we will see you all later. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.